I'm going to go dark because I'm eating.
Summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, don't you know, my darling? I said it right now, and the cotton is high. Like a, your land is a rich, kind of rich girl, and your mommy's good looking, yeah. I said, hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings come, you're gonna rise up singing. Then you spread your little wings, and take to the sky. La, 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 la. That morning, come on, baby. There's nothing gonna harm you, girl. With the mommy and the daddy standing by. Yeah. I'm a little I know my little darling, I love you so, and I'm never gonna let you go, love. Baby, don't you cry. Hey, shut up, you cry, daughter. Little daughter, I said, no, oh, child, I said it right now. Listen, baby, I don't want you to cry. So hush, pretty baby, little darling, do not let a tear fall from your eye. Oh!
Drums, please.
Here it is, a groove slightly transformed. Just a bit of a break from the norm. Just a little something to break the monotony of all that hardcore dance that has gotten to be a little bit out of control. It's cool to dance, but what about a groove that soothes and moves romance? Give me a soft, subtle mix, and if it ain't broke, then don't try to fix it. And think of the summers of the past. Adjust the bass and let the Alpine blast. Pop in my CD and let me run around and put your car on cruise and lay back, cause it's summertime. Out and it's sort of a buzz, but back then I didn't really know what it was. But now I see what happened is the way that people respond to summer madness. The weather is hot and girls are dressing less and checking out the fellas to tell them who's best. Riding around in your Jeep or your Benzos, or in your Nissan sitting on Lorenzo's. Back in Philly we be out in the park. A place called the Plateau is where everybody go. Guys out hunting and girls doing likewise. Honking at the honey in front of you with the light eyes. She turn around to see what you beeping at. It's like the summer's a natural aphrodisiac. And with a pen and pad I compose this rhyme to hip you and to get you equipped for the summertime. Yet, hustle to the mall to get me a short set. Yeah, I got on sneaks, but I need a new pair, cause basketball courts in the summer got girls there. The temperature's about 88. Hop in the water plug, just for old time's sake. Break to your crib, change your clothes once more, cause you're invited to a barbecue that's starting at 4. Sitting with your friends, y'all reminisce about the days growing up and the first person you kiss. And as I think back, makes me wonder how the smell from a grill can spark up nostalgia. All the kids playing out front, little boys messing around with the girls playing double dutch. While the DJ spinning a tune as the old folks dance at your family reunion. Then 6 o'clock rolls around. You just finished wiping your car down. It's time to cruise, so you go to the summertime hangout. It looks like a car show. Everybody come looking real fine, fresh from the barbershop and fly from the beauty salon. Every moment frontin' and maxin', chillin' in the car, they spend all day waxin', leaning to the side, but you can't speed through 2 miles an hour, so everybody sees you. There's an air of love and of happiness, and this is the Fresh Prince's new definition of summer madness.
It's a mess.
John's still working in the background, so I can't really talk, but it's beautiful, Kathy. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, you know that's when you get the most compliments if you have curly hair. It's when, because wait till you guys see my hair tonight.
Yeah,
The
it's like,
weather is like the
3 or 4
humidity is
days
not
of
like
still
that.
washing your breath.
So I can't really talk, but it's beautiful, Kathy. It's gorgeous.
You know that's when you get the most compliments if you have curly hair. It's when, because wait till you guys see
And the sunlight hurts
Yeah, it's
my
like,
eyes.
my okay, I'll let y'all say.
Something without warning, love.
There's no more
Weighs
hiding.
heavy on my mind. Then I
Hello,
look at
everyone.
you, and the world's alright with
Ooh,
me.
right, Lauren.
Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day.
John says I can talk now. Great.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. You know, the optics on that aren't good for you.
The what? Well, he just finished working.
I know he's working.
No,
I'm just teasing
John
you.
says I can talk. We're like back to back, so it's kind of hard. He's in a meeting. It's kind of hard because it'll pick up my sound too.
Here, I turned down the music. Does that help?
Thanks.
All right. So, oh, I see some faces.
Because it'll pick up my sound too. I hear an echo.
Someone
somewhere.
is someone also listening to it on Facebook?
And I know it's gonna be a lovely
Okay, maybe the echo was me. I just muted it.
Okay. Hi, Ruth.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Today was my first day at work that I got to take my mask off.
Yay!
So, yeah, it was fantastic. We finally got permission from the higher power, not God, but the admin, to take our masks off. So, pretty exciting.
just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be
Whew. Lovely day. Yeah, I had forgotten the song and somebody sent it to me recently, and it's just, you know, it's just, I made a summer playlist for my mom, and I thought, you know what, I should listen to that.
That was I really liked that arrangement of Summertime.
Oh, the very first one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
that
you're
was,
used to hearing us sing really kind of
Yeah.
slow and drawn out and very bluesy, and this was more jazzy.
yeah, it was my mother was very specific about which version she wanted on the summer playlist.
Okay.
It took me a few versions to get to the right artist. But it is by Billy Stewart. And when it first started, because of the way he does his intro, I was like, oh, this is not the song. But it was the song. He was like, all right, we got the song. She was happy, I was happy. And so now the question is, what are we gonna do tonight? Oh, this is another one that she picked.
It's a beautiful morning.
I like this song.
I'm detecting a theme.
Yeah.
Summertime.
Yeah, this is happy summertime.
Well,
you
today's
know,
the first full day of summer, right?
It is. Happy summer, everybody. And I'll say
Yeah.
it again. Summer is like my favorite time of the year. it becomes more increasingly difficult for me to like stay down to earth in the summertime just because I'm a sun child. I want to go out and run in the water and play in the sand. And, yeah.
The desert, it might not be the same time of the year.
Huh?
If you live in the desert where it's 110.
Well, yeah. I'm very particular about continuing to live in San Diego.
I think that's an excellent decision.
Yeah, I love it here. And you know, despite all of our challenges, I believe in us, and I believe that we can solve our problems.
Well, what they signed off on a budget today downtown.
All right. All right, we're zooming in quickly into 6:30, and if everyone is true to form, that's when we'll get the big glut of people showing up for the meeting. That went the wrong way. Kathy, I'm sending you the agenda in the chat just so you have it in text and not like you duplicating stuff. You got it? Can you copy it from the chat or do you want me to put it in Slack? You're muted. Kathy, you're still muted.
Sorry, I have airplanes going over, especially this time of day, so I'm muted, but I had it in the confirmation email, so I already grabbed it. Thank you. Now you're muted.
Of course, because that's what we need in any meeting for it to be a real meeting. For someone to, you know, everybody has to like accidentally mute themselves at least once.
At some point, yeah.
Yeah, it's a meeting. I think I'm gonna start passing out Zoom meeting bingo cards for us so that all the things that go wrong in Zoom meetings, we can, although, you know, we're getting closer to that time. Yeah, so I made this happy playlist because right now I'm a happy camper.
Cool. So we can tell your mood by what you play before a meeting.
Well, you can probably get an idea what's on my mind because that's what music I'm gonna like probably gravitate to.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, everything is sunshine, sunflowers, and rainbows. Today.
No telling what tomorrow may be.
You know, that's the fun of waking up every day. You get to like see what's gonna happen next.
If you say so, Luana.
Then you read the news and you think, I want to go back to bed.
Well, so, I mean, you guys are going to hate me for this, but I don't read the news. I get news from a variety of sources, and unfortunately, whether I like it or not, the news always finds me.
You also don't read your emails because I sent you an email like a week and a half ago and you never answered it.
Oh my God. Which account did you send it to?
I don't know, whatever one I have.
Okay. Well,
I want to learn from Dr. Richmond. I was like, oh man, emails, they just keep coming and coming.
Well,
So the one I sent you was the day before the central committee meeting, so it must have been last
oh,
week.
I know what email you're talking about. The reason I didn't respond, by the time I saw the email, the meeting was over.
Right, okay.
And so there was nothing I could do.
Right.
All right.
More sunshine.
Let's say this one and then we'll start the meeting.
Yeah, there's definitely a theme.
Maybe Tommy can sing.
Yeah, I can't, but we should definitely have like a
Well,
karaoke.
Tony can sing. I know he can.
if you guys are okay with like me doing some Bruce Springsteen, I think that could be arranged. I think I learned how to drive during listening to this song.
I just sent you a direct message, Kathy.
Okay. Can't wait to hear.
All right, are y'all ready to get started? Or we can finish this song.
Great Steve.
That's right. Everybody wants to rule the world.
The average price of a home in San Diego is just $850.
Ruth, we couldn't hear you really well.
All right, here we go. Go ahead, Ruth. Before we get started, say what you said so we can all hear you.
Oh, had TV on and I was just muting it because I was going on. And they said the average price now in San Diego for a home is $851,000.
Oh,
And they're
I thought
dogs. I can tell you that. They're absolute dogs that would have sold for 600 last year.
Mm.
all right. It's going to be interesting to see how that worm turns.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
everyone, welcome to the June meeting of the Democratic Women's Club of San Diego County. I am Dr. Luana Richmond. I forgot my name. Wow, I'm really on one. And I am your president at your service here to hopefully lead us through a meeting that is effective, entertaining, educational, and that we find some ways to connect with one another and connect with the process, in the process. Sound good? So let's start with, I'm gonna share the agenda so people who don't know what's going on can see it. I think that's always helpful, right?
Do we have a quorum yet, Rosamond? I didn't think so.
Oh, so we can't approve the agenda, huh?
Oh, but we can just go through it and then come back and approve it later.
Okay. Oh, let me, I just had someone say they didn't have the right Zoom link. So let me address that. All right, so I'm sharing my screen still, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so you can see we've got check-in, credentialing, opening remarks, approval of agenda, which we need a quorum for, and candidate announcements, recognition of elected officials. There is a slight change. Women of color in education. We were not able to confirm all of the panelists that we wanted to have. So instead of having that panel at that time, Lori Saldana will speak to the issue when she gives her officer report, as well as another issue. Team Justice will be giving us their legislative analysis. I am not by any means trying to influence any of you and tell you what issues should be important, but they generally do a good job in their analysis. So whether we agree or disagree, it's always helpful to know what some of the, just how to interpret some of these things. Fair?
Can I say really quickly, you might have some people at a physical place, because my somehow what I had in my calendar said we were at Elijah's.
So you probably got that from the the County Democratic Party's club meeting, or from an old meeting, because we haven't put anything out that said we would be at Elijah's in over a year.
Okay, I figured
So I'm
that,
not
but
sure
I
what
don't,
this
so
was
I didn't
for.
know how I had it. So I just went
Yeah.
hunting for the old link.
Okay, well, I appreciate you finding your way to us so that we can all be together. And then officer reports, old business, new business, announcements, and adjournment. And are we at quorum yet, Rosamond? No, yes? Are we close? Don't think so.
Maybe Rosalind can unmute herself.
Yeah, we're there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I would be
We're
happy
there.
I would be overjoyed to entertain a motion to.
I move that the agenda be approved.
I second. That's Nicole.
All right, so all in favor, say aye.
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 All
Aye.
right, is there anyone opposed? Okay, cool, the agenda is approved. So at this point, we can queue up the candidate announcements if we have any candidates in the room. Do we have
Maybe
any?
you can quit sharing your screen so we can see people now.
You want to see people?
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I mean, all right, so just let someone else start talking so that you don't see me. So we will start with Barrett Holman Leak. Uh-oh. I think Barrett, you're muted. I was clicking the button to ask you to unmute it. There you go. You're good. Now
Okay.
talk. All right.
All right. So my name is Barrett Holman Leak, and I am a candidate in the disappearing district of 53, which may be 52 or 51 or whatever they decide to call it, for 2022. And I am probably somewhere between moderate and progressive. So my, basically I'm climate change, LGBTQ plus, peace in the Middle East. Oh, do I want that? And a number of other things. I am rooted here in San Diego with a history since the late 70s. And basically I work as a children's author and doing some work with small business women. And that's me.
Thank you, Barrett. You may want to put your information in the chat. Nicole Crosby.
Okay.
I'm unmuted. Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Crosby. I'm a candidate for San Diego City Council District 6. I know that I'm uniquely prepared from day one to get what we need done for San Diegans. I've made it my life's work as a Chief Deputy San Diego City Attorney to take on gun violence, advocate and work for safe communities for our families and safe neighborhoods, protect the rights of victims of domestic violence, stalking, elder abuse, child abuse. And we have to remember that, domestic violence is the #1 killer of women by their intimate partners, and it's about getting results. I'm a resident of Claremont, and I'm here to speak to people like me who are really working hard to make our community better, safer, and stronger. I'll fight to make sure that our tax dollars are spent on priorities that align with our values, like clean air, water, beaches, safe parks, fundamentally re-exam how we fund public safety, as well as, running because it's about getting results. because we have a bureaucratic machine that it stagnates. And in order to create the vibrant, safer city that we want for my daughter, for all of your children, for the young ones and the old ones, we need to work really hard. And I'm going to leverage my experience as a city attorney to, rein in out of the control cost of living, that we just discussed is out of control, reduce traffic, roundabouts, things that, we don't necessarily want, but we need, and we know in the areas that we need them, protect kids and family from gun violence, make sure that our homeless neighbors have access to the supportive care they need from the county, and ensure tenants and local businesses struggling to come out of the pandemic in one piece, have government support. So thank you, Nicole, for San Diego, and I look forward to your support.
Great, thank you. So, Tommy, are you speaking as an elected official or as a candidate or an elected official?
I'm speaking as a candidate, Dr. Richmond. I'm appointed, so
Okay.
I'm here as a candidate.
All right, please go ahead.
Yes. Thank you. It's great to see everyone. Tommy House, San Diego County Planning Commissioner. I use he, him pronouns. I am running for San Diego City Council in District 6, which includes Mira Mesa, where I live, but also Kearny Mesa and the eastern precincts of Claremont, southern neighborhoods of PQ, Sorrento Valley, and also Miramar. I think many of you know I was the endorsed Democratic Party candidate for the seats in 2018. We came within 4 points of knocking out Councilmember Kate. I was also the co-founder of San Diego County Democrats for Environmental Action. I supported Kimberly Ellis for the State Democratic Party chair in 2019 as a state party delegate and a central committee member. And just recently, I brought additional support to Supervisor Tara Lawson-Remer's effort to transfer operation of the Mira Mesa Epicenter from the city to the county, which is going to be just magical to have that facility back online after being closed for the last 5 years. As a local environmental advocate with my work with Audubon and Surfrider and Rewild, I fought to restore Mission Bay and protect the Del Mar Mesa Preserve. I was an early advocate for the ban on single-use plastics, an advocate for Measure A, the No Sprawl, Save Our San Diego Countryside measure, and also what became the city's climate action plan. But I'm running because for too long, our District 6 neighborhoods, they simply haven't had anyone, as I like to say, rolling up their sleeves and looking out for us at City Hall. And we need the basics in City Council right now and downtown. Downtown's got nice streets in front of the convention center, the ballpark. We need streetlights. We need our roads rebuilt. We've got a running list of our broken streets at TommyHowe.com. We need our park amenities and our libraries restored. And we need downtown to see the 140,000 San Diegans, our neighbors, who live in our neighborhoods in the heart of San Diego, where the people who power the city live, and not just the economic centers of Miramar and Convoy and Sorrento Valley. Those are important areas, but they aren't necessarily where our neighbors live. City Hall isn't working for us. The city desperately needs new leadership. I'm going to be that leadership, and I'm going to turn that around with City Hall for District 6. I need your support. Neighborhoods first. Tommy Howe for San Diego City Council. And I hope you can attend our fundraiser on Sunday, the 27th. I'll drop that information in the chat. Thank you, Dr. Richmond.
Thank you, Tommy Howe. Tim Bilash.
Thank you for having me tonight. Good evening. My name is Dr. Timothy Bilash. I'm running as a candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives in 2022 in CA 50. I have three major priorities. They are universal health care, restoring middle-class economic prosperity, and resolving systemic cultural and ethnic barriers at the federal level. I've put in the chat a healthcare report we did 3 years ago outlining funding for medical care in the United States, a history of that, and support for a single payer that the nurses had proposed that died in our assembly. And that would be my major concern for the coming 2022. There are many other issues to discuss. I am very pleased to be here once again. I've seen you before, and I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, just one other thing there. I put a link to our healthcare report in the chat.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Michaela?
Hi there, everybody. Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Thank you so much for letting me join this meeting again. And I have a few updates on behalf of Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs And they're really exciting, especially because Pride Month is here and San Diego does celebrate our Pride Month in July, but we wanted to kick some things off in Congress. And so Congressman Jacobs has joined Congressman Panetta on legislation to protect trans military family members. And so what this bill would provide is it would make sure that the Department of Defense would not be placing or stationing a military member if they or any of their family members are trans, gender nonconforming, genderqueer in states that would not allow them to access that healthcare. 29 states right now have introduced legislation to limit these services. And Congressman Sarah Jacobs knows that it's not only dignity and respect that we owe our military personnel, it's also healthcare so they can continue to be healthy and do their jobs and support their family members. Something else is Congressman Jacobs has led a letter to the Navy calling for the naming of a ship after AAPI hero, Fireman Telesforo Trinidad. And she signed on with 10 of her colleagues to do this. And this would be the first USS ship named after a Filipino American. And Fireman Trinidad became a hero in 1915 when he rescued 2 folks from an onboard fire. And so not only as AAPI History Month comes to a close, it's also really important that we honor these folks continuously. 1915 was a long time ago, so we really want to make sure that we're getting this done. My final update is that Congressman Sarah Jacobs has joined Congressman Gallego and colleagues to help introduce the Universal Full Day Kindergarten Act. And we know that during COVID, 500 childcare shelters actually closed in San Diego, which is, we know that that industry was already struggling. We want to make sure we're providing enough services, resources, and funding to make sure that all kids, regardless of economic status, social status, can access the same quality childcare. And so those are all our updates. I'm going to go ahead and put my email, my phone number in the chat. Please feel free to reach out to me as a point of contact for Congressman Jacobs' team. Thank you so much.
Doug Case. Thank you, McKenna.
Thank you. I'm Doug Case. I am the Political Affairs Director for Senate President Pro Tem Toni Atkins, and going to give you a very brief legislative update. 3 of her priority bills have passed the Senate and are now in the Assembly. They are SB 1, which is a bill that deals with sea level rise and mitigation, and it includes several different strategies and funding resources to deal with that issue. SB 2, which she co-authored with Senator Bradford from Los Angeles area. That bill would create a process for licensing law enforcement officers in California so they can be decertified and not hired by one department. So if they engage in misconduct or illegal activity in one department, that would preclude them from being hired in a different department. California is one of the few states that doesn't certify police officers. And then finally, it's SB 9, which is her bill, which would streamline the process for creating a duplex or a lot split in a single family zone with several different restrictions attached to that. And then finally, the legislature approved a budget by the June 15th deadline. It's a much different budget than last year. Last year, we were dealing with the $54 billion deficit. This year, revenue exceeded projections by $76 billion, plus we got $27 billion from the federal government. So it is giving us an opportunity to do some once-in-a-generation transformational changes. And I'll put in the chat a summary of the budget because I don't have time to go over it with you, but it really includes some opportunities for childcare, education, all from transitional kindergarten all the way through higher education, dealing with the homelessness, providing access to healthcare, including to undocumented residents, and programs to deal with wildfires, climate change, and drought. And so I'll put a summary of that in the chat and would encourage you to take a look at that. And there's still some negotiation going on between the legislature and the governor. So there, between now and the end of the month, there may be some small changes to the document that I'm putting forward to you. So thank you.
Thank you. Wow. I'm just adjusting my mic because it's weird. Thank you, Doug. So this is the point where I was going to introduce our panel of women of color in education. Unfortunately, we don't have the panel, but I think, Lori, the next speaker isn't going to be here until they're set to be here at 7. Well, there's actually 2 of them. Do you think you could speak a little bit about the reason that we wanted to talk about the challenges in education right now?
Yes, yes, I can do that. So, and I think at the end of the school year, especially this school year in particular, made it difficult for the faculty I reached out to respond. And I have some sympathy for them. This has been an extraordinary year. So let's see, where to begin? The challenge facing women in academia, especially women of color, women from LGBTQ communities, and those combinations sometimes in the same person, is something that has been addressed by the state of California in an audit. And you remember where this club supported a joint legislative audit committee review of a few things in San Diego, but most recently of deaths in custody. And the audit committee has also reviewed our deaths from hepatitis in San Diego. So the state legislative audit committee can do a powerful overview. And in 2007, they did an overview of the hiring practices at the California State University system. And what they found is that there are inconsistencies between campuses. And that predominantly, and granted this is many years ago, but at that time they found that the majority of hiring into tenure track positions, I'm talking about tenure track versus associate or part-time faculty, I'll explain why in just a minute, was predominantly still white and male, the people that were ending up in these positions. Why does that matter? From a diversity perspective, it matters because more and more of our students at the CSU are coming from very diverse communities. And the saying that you can't be what you can't see became very apparent, where we have increasingly young women, are now majority of our college students, not just in California, but around the country. And increasingly they reflect the diversity of our state. And so we have these young women of color, and they don't see reflected in their faculty people that look like them. And so the chance for them to advance into the academic world may look very different than it does for somebody who is seeing role models in all around them in various departments. So one reason this matters on tenure track positions is that those are positions which continue and are protected under various, under various protections through faculty contract agreements. And also, because of lawsuits and settlements that have successfully been brought against the university in the past, I don't know why I can't shut this up. California, and again, this is a fairly old audit, but at the time, they had spent millions of dollars in settlements against faculty members who had brought suit against the universities, and over $5 million in outside counsel to defend the university in the cases that they then lost. So collectively, at that time, that was nearly $8 million in just the legal fees. And that doesn't take into account the work that goes into hiring somebody in a tenure track position, because that requires posting a notice, bringing in a hiring committee, going through a process. If you are chosen to go into a tenure track position, you're expected to teach for a period of time before you're offered tenure, and that can be anywhere from 3 to 5 years. So there's a tremendous investment in finding, identifying, interviewing, hiring, and then having a person teach on campus. And what many of the women and people of color said about the process, the reason that they chose not to continue, which was another cost, they left before they achieved tenure, even those who had been offered it. They didn't feel comfortable in the culture of their department. They didn't feel the support that they needed to advance professionally. So we were losing at many steps along the way. And so if we don't see an improvement, then we lose out on those future opportunities for students who may be interested in pursuing an academic career, but they simply don't have the role models or feel like they're getting the support they need to succeed in pursuing research or teaching or other types of work at the college and university level. Another thing that just came up today is there's an appeal of a law that went into effect 2 years ago that requires corporate boards in California to have a minimum of 1 woman, depending on the size of the board. And that is now up for a judicial review. And the plaintiffs in this case are some of the most conservative organizations. Judicial Watch is, I think, the main plaintiff that is seeking to undermine this, even though there has been improvement since the law went into effect. It was signed into law by the previous governor, by Jerry Brown. He expressed concerns at the time that it would not be constitutional, and now it is being challenged in court. So these opportunities for women, as much as California may take steps to try to advance that into the private and corporate world, there are still those who seek to block that. And in this case now, it's going to be up for review. And I'm still doing some research on that as it develops. But all of that, coming back to why does the Democratic Women's Club want to be concerned about this? These are public dollars. These are often programs that our elected officials that we endorse and support are responsible for managing responsibly. And we want to make sure that we are investing in all of our students, but especially those who historically have not finished college, who come from families that did not have the same access to higher education. And what we're seeing is there's still a lot of work to be done here in California. So I hope that summarizes a little bit of the concerns. At the national level, we've been seeing that recently too, with a faculty member at a university who worked on the 1619 project and earned considerable awards. And yet the regents of the university, not the faculty, but the regents on the board, denied her a full-time permanent tenure position in her department. So that created a lot of concern about what the standards are, who makes those determinations. And in that case, it wasn't even a faculty determination. It was something done by the board members, many of whom had no academic background. They were not professors or administrators. They were just appointees to the board. So any questions or comments about that?
I guess the biggest comment is just that, you know, as above and so below, and, you know, there are many people who think academia is like a safe refuge from all of these things. And the reality is it absolutely is not.
Well, I think that we still see models and structures that were created decades ago. And you go back and you look at the founding of some of these institutions, and they continue to reflect the, you know, just as our country does, the original founders put some principles in place. And we may think that as a country or as a campus that things have evolved, things have changed. But in fact, those are really tough models and frameworks to dislodge and to update.
Dr. Bailash, do you have your hand up because you have a question or a comment?
I do. Ms. Sanchez, thank you so much for talking more about that. I think we have to keep talking about it because there are a lot of parts to it. There are two aspects of academic work that concern me. One is the high cost. And one of the issues in terms of minority or even women's involvement because of life situations, especially monetary, that the funding schemes are way out of whack and people go into debt. And you may go into a graduate program, but then after you finish a graduate program, it's often a dead end. There just aren't being utilized in especially fields outside the obvious. So that's one of the things. The other one is that I'm not sure. I think we're losing the incentive for people to go to college in the first place. That many boys and girls through the high school levels are not able to make those transitions. And so those two things, I don't see us doing very much about, and we just wanted to raise them.
The cost is definitely an issue. But as I mentioned, we actually are seeing more women now. Women are in the majority of those who attend and graduate from college.
Correct.
But there's a whole other kind of discussion about that, which, as you say, how are we valuing education then? Because
Right, they need jobs. They need jobs too, even if they're not in academia.
absolutely, and that's across the board, not just those who want to go continue into higher education, but you know, the ones who are getting technical training, professional advancement. But the cost of education is definitely hurting people from investing once they graduate, because they're paying back their student loans instead of starting businesses, buying homes, all those other things that you would like to do if you have the disposable income to do that. Any other comments or questions about this? And I'll check back around with the departments I checked in with when we get closer to the school year starting, and maybe we can revisit this at the start of the next academic cycle.
Okay. So I was hoping that John Wee would have joined us at this point. I do see his co-presenter, Marissa Hirsch. Are you prepared to proceed without him and he just joins in? I have the spreadsheet if that's helpful.
I can get us started, but I mean, I think he'll be here soon. He's wrapping up another training.
Yeah. I guess I imagine he may want to, take a brief bio break between presentations.
Yeah.
Oh, he's here.
Yeah, he's
timing. Sean Wee, we were just talking about you. So glad to see you. And do you need me to put the spreadsheet on the screen, or do you have some presentation or something that you want to display? Tell me how I can support you, and then I'll lead in.
Hi, I'm just apologize. I'm late. I just literally finished my training for the lobby team on the other side. But if you can please allow me to share screen, I do have a little presentation for you guys.
All right, perfect. So I'm gonna do this. All right, so you should be able to share your screen now. And just so you know, Team Justice is, as I said earlier in the meeting, gonna do a presentation of their legislative analysis, just to give us some insight into some of the bills that they feel some kind of way about.
Yes. Okay, can you guys see the screen? The say Team Justice presenter, Jean-Louis?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
So yeah.
First off, I want to thank you y'all for allowing me the space and opportunity to share the work of the Team Justice today. So it formed about 2 years ago. I'm sorry, yeah, 2.5 years ago. It was started out very small. 4 organizations and activists came together, Think Dignity Pillars and Asian Solidarity Collective. So this is a picture of some of it. Went to state, Sacramento to do our lobby work there. But Team Justice is committed to our work to reform the criminal justice system, to bring social, racial, and economic justice and equity. We have a slogan: we can't be free until all about Black, Brown, Indigenous, Asian, and poor white citizens are free. I want to put it on the front: all of our work are completely anti-Black. We believe that is the most deeply rooted racism, the type of racism of all. And all of us came into this space with that privilege, trying to undo that and undo that injustice. I put that on the front. Any organizer that we recruited in, any lobby member that we recruited in, know that, and if they have that issue, they are welcome not to join the team because we are all about anti-Black. So 2 years later, our team has grown. We now have a partner organization, the pillars, We the People, showing up for racial justice, showing racial justice North County, Think Big Asian Solidarity Collective, Upright Theater, and also Mogo Theater. I'm sorry, Mogo is it's led by the wonderful Jenny Lee Jong Wright. Our team, we have 18 organizers today. They are literally amazing folks who are being trained and like doing every single little thing that you can imagine of tracking the bill, mobilizing people and everything, even schedule a lobby visit. Currently, we have about 9 lobby volunteers and the team is continuing to grow. So why do we pay attention to state legislatures? Because it's the effectiveness. The implementation of the federal policy often fall on the states. So y'all remember like when Trump was signing all the crazy executive order trying to drill oils in our state, and up and down the coast, all the local government passed law to stop him from doing it. It's because it's really that effective. And also state bill are a lot easier to track than federal bill because they stick to a very specific timeline every year. The federal bill, you can introduce only one, but then like it depends on the Speaker of the House or the majority, whether or not they feel like they want to bring the bills up for, for a vote. But on state bill, specific timeline, bills are introduced at the beginning of the year, and then they have to vote by this year, June 4th to pass the first house, and then the second house by September. So California is trifecta blue. You all heard about how things happen past in California and then it happened in the rest of the country. That is true, well, most of the time, because California is trifecta blue. It means that we control the state assembly, the Senate, and the governor, and we should be able to pass a lot of bills. And then also the advocacy level is more manageable because let's say on the federal level, elected official, let's just say they have a 700,000 constituent. A human person can only most of the time, as amazing activist as you can be, if you mobilize 100 column, that is really amazing effort. 100 out of 700,000 constituent. It's a very tiny little fraction. However, on the state and local level, because the lesser number of constituent, that 100 column now become a larger percentage, then suddenly it's have a bigger impact. So as I mentioned, state legislation have a very specific timeline, and this year on the February 17th or the last day bills were introduced, there were over 1,500 bills introduced this year. They went through the first house through all the committee appropriation and to the floor, and they voted by June 4th. After that, they go to the second house through the same process, and then finally go to the governor desk to sign or veto. But I'll pause there for a second to reflect on what Team Justice did. So previous year, we were the team who pushed for AB 392, authored by the most amazing Assembly member, like I'm fangirling her all the time, Dr. Shirley Weber, before she became Secretary of State. I think it was also the moment when I realized that this is my calling to do this work. But as you can tell, the list of the bill is going on the screen. The other one that we were really proud of was the ACA 6 to restore the voting right for the people on the parole. This was a 2-year effort, and it did pass, and then it became the Prop 17 that many of you probably recognize during the last November election. It would also pass then. So this year, how did we start it? We came together after the February 17, all of our people basically perused pages and pages and pages of over 1,500 bills introduced this year. And then we have like a long meeting where we all went in and then reviewing the bills and then put together a list of recommended bills. And then also I worked with a statewide listen to with their list of recommendation as well. And then all of it voted very democracy. We all voted and then finalized down to 30 bills to focusing on. Is it a lot? Last year we put for 10, but this year we put for 30 because we have 18 organizers. So we, believe we could do it. So the work, our team basically reach out to every other offices, collecting fact sheet and the template of letter of support. And then we identify all the pressure point for action, including submitting the letter of support for the bills as they go through the committee. Because the amazing thing is like, when the committee votes come up, they often pull up the letter of support and boom, they saw like eight organization came from San Diego. Right now, that list have gone to 22 organizations. You can imagine San Diego, we are showing up for these bills. And then also our team creating landing page with emailing tools and information on how to contact and send email to our elected official. It was super easy. Like we set it up, it's really easy for folks to take action. And then we're also creating social media graphic to alert the public when to take action, because our team track all these bills every Friday. It's basically these amazing 18 people. What they do is that every Sunday they meet each other, they check in, they figure out how best to engage the public, and then also like advocating and then get people pay attention to these bills. Now, I'm gonna pass this on to Marissa here today, just now, so she can talk a little bit more about the list of the rest of the bill that who made it through, the June 4th vote.
Thanks, John Wee. Can you guys hear me okay? Thumbs up?
A little bit low. Do you want to turn up your
A little
volume?
bit low? Okay.
Is this a better volume?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure. So as John Wee said, the 30 bills all had to be voted on by June 4th. And so of our 30 bills, I think about 23 have made it to the next level. About 17 of them are still in this legislative cycle. And then I think 5 other ones are on a 2-year track, which I can explain. So the first bill that we are continuing to support as they switch houses is AB 1308, which just extends what AB 1076 did, and it allows for arrest and conviction record relief back to 1973. And then we have AB 256. This is the Racial Justice Act that's also retroactive. This expands existing law to include sentences handed down before 2021 to protect against racial, gender, other bias, etc. From if there's like any prosecution evidence that there was something like that, then they can go. And then we have AB 518. This is going to amend the penal code so that a charge which can be punished in different ways can no longer require the sentence with the longest term of imprisonment. So this means there's no mandatory sentencing. Then we have SB 16. This is to request police records to be released if they're requested and there's evidence of racism or other bias, excessive force, or dishonesty. SB 713 would end mandatory minimum for drug offenses. SB 81, we have Penal Code 1385 reform. Would dismiss enhancements on nonviolent offenses with firearms, because enhancements are just leading to mass incarceration. We have AB 48, which would prohibit police officers from using rubber bullets or tear gas against protesters, except in life-threatening circumstances. AB 481 increases transparency with the police officers buying military equipment. They would have to be more transparent about funding and acquisition and use of those military equipments that they purchase. AB 973 is the Vision Act. This prevents arrests and it prevents people who are arrested from being sent to ICE. So it prohibits the state enforcement from working with ICE. And this one's really a special one to John Wee. And if you check out our social media, you can learn a lot more about AB 937. SB 483, this repeals enhancements as well. Again, resentencing to remove sentencing enhancements. This will again help alleviate mass incarceration. SB 710 is AD recusal of law enforcement. When, excuse me, the DA has to recuse themselves if they have received money from law enforcement. I see a hand. Is there a question?
Yeah, for SB 483, Dave Myers here, to repeal enhancements. Are any of those enhancements like hate crime enhancements? Like if there were enhancements charged for a crime against, say, the Jewish community or AAPI community?
That is a good question. I don't know off the top of my head, but I don't think so, if I remember correctly. I can get back to you on that if you want to leave your email.
Thank you.
Also, we have fact sheets. We've done a lot of work in front loading it, so that way we have fact sheets readily available, and I don't remember seeing anything like that being mentioned in the fact sheets. And those are provided by the author of the bill, the fact sheets that we get. I see another question.
Hey, Dave, I just want to mention is that usually this bill just only allow the judge for the opportunity to look at the case specifically. So the judge would have that authority to review the enhancement or not. Okay, so it's like the judge will have the power. But I see Tim, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do. I just want to say, I can just imagine how much work you've already put in this. This is really great. So thank you. It's I've had some trouble just trying to pull together, knowing what is or isn't going on. And this was a nice way to do it. Is it possible to list the co-bills in the other house with these and whether or not there's any interest? And I fear a lot of these tend to just die in one house and they're sort of window dressing. Are these really real bills that you think are going to have a chance?
We would like to see that a lot of these bills should have a real interest. The evidence is that actually this little bill are the one that survived the June 4th vote to pass the first house. So they are currently going through the second house right now. But I heard about what you're concerned. I want to also address is that in this work, there is the heartbreaking part about when your bills is watered out or amended. As soon as the June 4th votes were done, our team on that weekend, we spent an extra time in our check-in meeting to review all of the amendment to make sure that any of these bills are still what we thought they are to be, and to continue to push, and also checking with our partners as well, specifically the our Black Allies organization to see where they at with the bills as well. If any of them are still considered to be, continue, if any of them are asked for continued support from the Black Org, we as the Southern will continue to do that work.
One other thing, you mentioned, I've been to a number of clubs in the past months, the past 6 months particularly, and I'm really impressed at the diversity and the efforts that different clubs, different types of people are making in their ways. And it's not always visible, and I think it's great. But how can the federal level help the state and integrate? And sometimes it seems, as you said in introduction, that this is a problem. I see this tremendously. I talked to some of the club presidents. They feel they have absolutely no impact on the federal level. And so sometimes they, and especially the last presidency, things were just at odds with each other. So what are some of the ways, or a way, that the federal government, and particularly the House and the Senate, can work a little better with the states? Or do you see an opportunity for that coming up? Hard question.
Marissa, you have a question?
Sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Marissa, you have thoughts around it?
I mean, just for context, I'm a law student, and so I'm like learning all about that, right? State and federal. And I think like John Lee said, it's like a different process. And so Team Justice, our goal right now is to just focus on what we can do with the state legislature because there's such a bigger impact. And then by changing state laws, it subsequently affects the federal in the long run, I think, because we're a federalist country. So separation of like the federal government, the federal government kind of follows behind what states do. And that's why California is a leader. And so this is our chance to lead the legislative trends in the federal, if that makes sense.
One of my main priorities is universal health care, and at the state level is, in my opinion. But SB 562 ran into trouble. There were two things. It looked like the state legislature didn't want it. And secondly, the federal government said, no, you can't change any of the rules that would make these things possible. And everybody used everything as an excuse. It's kind of coming back. I think it has to be taken care of in the next 4 years. But I just raised the issue more than asked for an answer.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you, Tim, on that. It's like, I want to approach the work from the most positive as possible because I believe in joint activism and encourage people to do more with positiveness. But there's that heartbreaking part as well. Like, how do we push our elected official to where the point it needs to? Sometimes it could be a little bit here, a little bit there, the conversation. So I want to take the moment, also use the AB 1308 for an example. This bill 2 years ago, this club, AB 1076, this 2 years ago, this club actually voted to support the bill. The bill will change the process of expungement record from requiring people go to the courthouse, fill out the paperwork. But now it's just be automated expunged. But at a time when we went to Lorena office and we're advocating for it, and we advocate for the record to go back all the way to 1973, they'll automatically expunge. Because the year before that, they did have the process to expunge all the marijuana records, right? So they should be able to do all of it. But in that meeting with Lorena, and bless her heart, because she's one of the most straightforward elected official I ever met, because most of them, they just like do the little dance, they don't want to tell you how they vote. But Lorena basically came in and we were repairing everything. And I have a photo in our presentation later, but she was basically telling me, don't even sell this bill to me. I'm already supporting the bill, but it's too expensive. You need to water it down. So through negotiation with the other office, that bill basically have that process will only apply to the records starting in 2021. We have to take it because unfortunately, through entire year, there are 1,500 bills introduced and they all competed with each other to be on that budget. Appropriation means that Lorena's job is trying to fit as many bills as possible into the budget. And if too expensive, it won't happen. So here we are 2 years later, we have to go back in and introduce AB 1308, trying to complete that second half of the work. So my long answer to you is push for the bill. It's gonna get watered down, but don't give up on it. Don't give up on the conversation. Start adding a little bit until when you get to that point and it will tip over. And then from California, it's tip over and then other states that follow. And next thing you know, it's gonna happen at federal level. Look at gay right marriage. It took us 10 years. So,
yes.
So I want to continue with the list.
Yeah.
Marissa, do you want to?
Thank you. So I think I left off on SB 731. This bill would sunset criminal convictions and expand current laws to include anyone who's been convicted of a felony. So this allows them to escape paper prisons, always having a record after served time. AB 990, this allows for inmates to have calls and visitations. It makes it a civil right. So that way your right to access your loved one that's incarcerated isn't dependent on something arbitrary. But it's a civil right because kids get to see their parents and parents should be able to see their kids. I really like AB 990 and all these bills are great. SB 2 adds a process to law enforcement decertification. So this, once an officer is decertified, they can't go get a job elsewhere. SB 262 is the zero bail schedule. AB 118 is the Crisis Act. So this would give money to community groups to fund non-police responses in emergency crisis. So supporting other alternatives to mental health calls, stuff like that. This gives funding to community orgs. AB 333, this limits enhancements, makes requirements to prove gang involvement tougher because right now it's arbitrary. So because gang enhancements just aren't working and it's not illegal to be in a group. So something to think about. And then our 2-year track, we have 2 California Constitution amendments on there. ACA 3 would end involuntary servitude, get rid of that in the California Constitution. And then ACA 2 gets rid of the death penalty. You got to abolish the death penalty in California. AB 594 would require police excessive use of force investigations to be conducted by the DA, district attorney's office, or someone who's not just the police department. AB 328 establishes reentry housing programs for incarcerated folks and subsequently homeless folks. SB 30 limits felony murder in special circumstances. Currently, a person who hasn't committed murder itself can get charged. This is the same as a person who did commit the murder. I have a lot of problems with felony murder if anyone wants to talk to me as a law student after. And then AB 679, this would ban jailhouse informants because right now a cop could, they hire people in jail to get information on their cellmates. And again, that's, I would debate constitutional. So this would just get rid of it in California. And with that, these are the bills that have survived and are thriving and are onto the second house. And we really need to build our support list. And I would just call and see if anyone would want to make a motion to support our bills tonight.
Yes, so what Marissa was talking about is part of us doing the presentation is we go to seek for your organization support. So as I mentioned earlier, when the bill goes to the committee, when the committee usually what they do is they pull up the list of support. They want to recognize any name that they support. And part of the strategy here is like having a mini organization from San Diego if possible to kind of like put the words out to our elected official here in San Diego and say, hey, your fan base here, your voters, you continue and the people work for you and everything, also supporting this bill. As I mentioned, right now there are 22 organizations already signing letters of support. And what that means is one, your club voted to support this set of bill. Our organizing team will be the one who generate the letter of support. We have this template and everything on the behalf of your club and submit it on the behalf of your club. That you do not have to do any of that stuff. We'll regularly can give you a report where these bills are, but basically the idea is we make it easy for you to support. At the same time, as an effect, we want our elected official pulling up the list when they're in the committee to see that the woman them is also supporting this bill alongside with the other 22 organizations. I'm gonna pause for a second. Susan, you have a question?
Yeah, I didn't get the number of the bill, but it was toward the very end. It addressed the issue of having someone charged with a felony by association. Is that to address the problem that we had here in San Diego with the I think Summer Gore wanted to charge a group of young Black men by the association of what neighborhood they lived in, any Facebook postings, social media. Does that address that so that it makes that illegal?
Yes, it will address it. I believe that two different bills that may address your question, Susan. This is AB 333, which is limit the gang enhancement. Because right now, the way that gang is being documented is super vague. The nicest word that I could say, because let's say Southeast San Diego, if anybody frequent a certain neighborhood enough, or frequent this person enough, they may be documented at a gang. And if something happened today, if they got arrested, it would definitely be stacked on it on their chart with a gang enhancement. And the whole practice is really problematic because we even have a 13 years old kid being documented at gang today. And then the other one that potentially you can talk about is SB 300 is a special circumstance. If a person have not committed the act, currently they can be charged the same. My younger brother was. I shared a story recently on social media. This happened way back in the 2000. My younger brother was in Vietnamese gang because that's how he know his people. And he would hang out with his friends, and one of his friends shot another kid. And my younger brother hit his friend in his car. All of them were arrested. But because of association, because of gang enhancement, because of the streets drive you out during the 90s, despite not holding the gun and commit the act itself, my younger brother was sentenced life without parole at the age of 19 years old. We literally lock people up, throw the keys away, entire life was lost. Unfortunately, in my case, my brother's life was lost. He was found hung 2 years ago. So in 2000, yeah, so there's a lot to unpack in that story alone. So I hope you can hear like how AB 333 and FB 300 and was also part of all of that we try to undo. Do you have another question, Susan, before I move on to Alina? Thank you. Alina.
I'm good.
Hey, Joey, quick question. Do we know what organizations support these bills and who are opposing? I know some of the hate crime bills that they came out. We, as CARE California and other advocacy organizations, we found it very problematic because they were deliberately leaving out mass number of communities.
I'm not sure which hate crime bills. Maybe we can have a conversation around that. I can do a little bit research on. But for this bill, you can tell we're very well organized here. So for this bill that we're pushing for, currently we have We the People San Diego, PILA, ASD, Think Dignity, Search, North County, Uprise, MOGO, QT, POC. It's like the list go on and on. There's several for Black Lives Matter, Social Worker for Equity, Justice, Hillcrest Indivisible, Rise Up, Progressive Dem, CARE, even PANA, Democrat for Vista, Racial Justice San Diego, King Begin With Me. The list is our list. So anytime any of these bills going into the committee, our organizing team basically generate the support letter and submit, and we put the date on here to track if one was submitted. So for instance, the FB16, as you can tell, there are literally 19 letters support.
Right.
But let's talk more about your bill. I am curious about it because I want to know like who on the hate crime bills, like which organization is coming out and pushing for it or against.
Yeah, definitely. So I know like CARE San Diego is part of the Team Justice. We do support like everything y'all do. But there is a bill, I forgot exactly. The author has been very problematic, especially towards the Muslim community. He's openly attacked Muslims and very Islamophobe. Yeah, I have to look into my bills too. I know I didn't approve it.
Well, I know CARE signed on 1, 2, 3 bills.
I remember I signed on AB 48, AB 333.
Yeah, and 937.
AB 937.
Yeah,
those were
so
the
3
three bills that I signed on.
Yeah, totally. It's on the list.
Yeah.
So, okay, Tim, do you have a question? You're on mute.
Dr. Bilas?
Mute.
Sorry. The role of addiction and drug abuse in the justice, being involved in the justice system, and particularly diversion courts, which I think would involve the state. There doesn't seem to be anything here about that, and I'm not quite up to speed on how the state interacts with the county levels, where those things would fall. But it seems to me that that is a big contributor to getting someone into the system to begin with. And is the state doing anything about that?
I'm not well versed in that issue. I know there are often a lot of bills being pushed in that perspective, but we currently try to change a lot of that narrative around how drug offense should not be incarcerated, but rather should be treated with a little bit humane and compassion and treated as a disease. So I know at the county level, this is what I know because I helped push for that at the county level. The most amazing Tara Lawson Reamer. I know I'm fangirling her. The woman, like, wow, she organizer, just so you know that. But the woman, she pushed for the MCRT around the homeless issues, basically required the police not to be called whenever they deal with a mental health case issue or drug addiction issue, that the MCRT will come in and address that instead of the sheriff. That happening in North County. Now we, from what I last know, they try to expand that program, and hopefully by next year, it will expand to the rest of the county. Okay. That's why I can give that insider update now. Lori, question, please.
Thank you.
Well, actually, I was, somebody brought up a point about, maybe it was the informants, when the Legislative Women's Caucus would support a lot of women who were applying for parole or early release, and many of them were caught up in, they had no direct ties to a crime, but because their partner basically informed on them that they were somehow related, they were being incarcerated under the war on drugs. So I think that that's been addressed in many cases, but what we've seen is there's a lot of people who wound up in prison that were just part of a wider net. And women in particular paid a really tough price for that, because their boyfriends or husbands would basically, to get a lighter sentence themselves, would claim that their wives or girlfriends were part of this drug deal, whether they were or not. And so I hope they're taking some steps to address that. Maybe that's part of the informant, changes on the informants issue.
Lawana, you.
Oh, I was going to say, go ahead and answer, but let's let this be the last question.
Yeah, so you just brought up a couple of issues, right? Number one is drug offense, and then the other one is, which we already talked about just now, but the other one is the informant, the jailhouse informant. That practice is so problematic because oftentimes the inmate are being bribed with lesser sentences and all, and many things, money and all kind of perks. But for information, and the information don't often always get vetted or corroborated. So the consequence is much heavier on the person being accused. Even outside the prison system, you saw the whole case about Erwin McNeil in National City. That man was working with the DA regularly, giving information. And then we only find out about that was because he was having a mental breakdown, showed up to the police, and then they arrested him, and then he had to die due to their forces. And then it came out, all of these practices, that I believe 6 cases got reopened because of that situation. So it had been a problem. Alina?
Yeah, I like to make the motion.
I'm sorry, Alina, Dr. Lawana.
No, Alina, please. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I heard what you were starting to say.
Yeah, I want to make a motion to support these bills. I just read all the titles and everything. I think this is something that aligns with our club. So yes.
All right, so
I'll
we have,
second.
who was the second?
Lori.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second.
Could you repeat the motion, please?
I make the motion to support these bills.
Could we discuss what that means now? I wanted to second it so we could have a discussion, just so we define what support would look like. If it's simply us adding our name, or you need a document from us. Could you explain a little bit more about that?
Yes, so the support I mentioned is that once you voted to support this bill, it will allow Team Justice organizing team to go in and then create a letter of support on your behalf and submit them through the committee as the bills go through them. That's all you're gonna be doing. Your organization not required to do anything else at all. Our amazing team doing that work every Friday.
All right, Jen, you have your hand raised?
Oh, are we having discussion or is that before we vote, or is that?
We're
that what-
discussing, we're discussing now. Did you have something you wanted?
Oh, yes. I would vote to support all of these bills, but I just am not sure about the auto submission of the letter part. So that's, I think we should support them. I'm just not sure that we want letters submitted in our name without us being able to look at them first.
I can share that with you guys. The letter template are generated from from the author office. It's not something that our team created. As you can tell, the spreadsheet, you guys literally looking at our spreadsheet, our organizing spreadsheet, we have text to the link to the text and everything, the fact sheet link on, and then even a letter template. These are the documents that our organizing team reaching out to the author office and getting information. To be pretty straightforward, it's just literally listing the facts on the bills and simply saying your name, and that's it. If you want to, I can send the letter to any, if you have a policy person, feel free to review it. And if you want to do any editing work, that's fine too. We welcome that. We really do. More people involved, the better it is.
So can we amend the motion to include if the body approves, the e-board will be able to approve the final letter before it's sent forward?
Yeah, I make the motion to, if the body approves, we will send the support letter. Jean-Louis, if you can also send us the fact sheets for all these bills, I think that's like the best way to approve anything.
Yes.
Okay, so now I'm lost. We had a motion.
Yeah, I'm lost too. Should we pass the motion and then pass what the conditions of it?
No, no, I'm getting pretty good at Robert's rules. So
I make the motion to.
Right, so
support-
Alina made a motion to support the bills. Then we got an amendment to that motion to support the bills, but not allow the letters to go out without our board approving the letter first. Am I correct?
Correct.
So what we have to, unless there's any other amendments, first we have to vote on the amendment, and then we vote on the original motion, which would include the amendment. Am I right, Susan?
Absolutely. Good for you, Yvonne. Good girl. Way to go.
So is there any further discussion, or do we move to voting on the?
Well, we need a second on the amendment.
Oh, do we have a second on the amendment?
I'll second that.
Who seconded?
Who made the motion of the amendment?
Jen made the motion.
I didn't hear that. What?
I
For
thought
the
Jen
amendment.
French made the motion.
She made
Is that
the
correct?
amendment. She made the amendment.
Yeah, she made the motion for the amendment, right?
Oh, Alina made the amendment to her own motion.
So I don't know how that happens. What happens then now?
This is Sarah. I think Yvonne's spot on for Roberts, but I don't think we actually need this because Alina's initial motion didn't specify whether or not we were doing exactly the process that Jean-Louis suggested in the first place. I think we can just keep going with Alina's original motion and keep spelling it out like exactly what we want to do with it.
So the motion on the floor, Sarah, is that just simply that we support these bills.
With,
I believe
with board approval of the letter. How about that?
Susan?
Yeah, usually if the club, if the body approves something, then if the board can take an action that's in the spirit of what the body has approved. So sending out the letters would be something that the board could go ahead and just do if the body has already approved, made a motion to approve it.
Okay, so are we?
So we
ready
don't
to
need to even have that. We don't need to even have that because that can just basically, that's just basically understood in my way I operated.
So based on that, are we ready to take it to the body or do we need to have further discussion?
For approving this motion?
See,
I think,
yes.
I think if I'd ask for any more discussion, if there's any more discussion, hearing none, I would call for the vote.
Well,
Yeah,
and you
that-
might
that
want
would
to
be-
ask specifically if there's people who are opposed to supporting these.
All right.
I believe there are two motions on the floor, and Alina would have to withdraw the amendment to be able to vote on the initial one, or a vote is required since it's been seconded.
So I did withdraw my original motion
Very good.
by replacing it with the board's approval.
So we just have one motion on the floor and it's been seconded. So is there any other discussion? Is there anyone opposed to moving forward to a vote?
For the sake of the minutes, I would like Jean-Louis to list out the bills that we're supporting. So
I have the
can,
spreadsheet.
That's
Okay,
that the entire spreadsheet, right?
is it in
Yeah.
the chat?
No, but I'll send it to you. I have a copy of it. I'll send it to you.
Perfect.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So, Alina, can you please restate your motion? Not everyone is clear on what it is, and then we'll be able to go forward, I hope.
I make the motion to approve, to sign on the letter with the board's approval.
All right. So, is there any, so based on this, is there, all in favor? Can we raise our hand using the raise hand function, or else if you aren't familiar with the function, turn on your camera. Of course, please make sure you are a voting member.
Okay, I can't raise my hand there, so I'm raising it here.
Okay. So it looks like we've got
I don't see any.
we've got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good. Oh, we got double. All right. 10, 12, 13, 14, 15.
You've got Susan and I.
Yeah, 16. All right. Now, so everyone put their hands down. Do we have any, so let's clear everything. All right, so now if there are any opposed, please raise your hand, either using the raise hand function, or if you're not comfortable with that, you could do something else. If you need to, you can send me a direct message if you're not comfortable. All right, it looks like it carries. No abstentions? All right, you have our support. We accomplished it. Thank you so very much for coming to our meeting and bringing all of these issues to our attention and helping us to understand how we can be of help.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lawana Richmond, for supporting, for including us onto this space and time to share the work that we do. One last piece before I signed off on the presentation, if you will. So for a lot of folks who wondering at home, what can you do to support the bill? So 1 second. I'm here. I'm almost there. So it that your while organization support is amazing. Everything a great way. And then folks don't just always sitting there like wondering what else can you do. You absolutely can do a lot of stuff. You can email your elected officials, you can make phone calls and those things. But there is another thing that you can also do is join a lobby team. So the commitment is 1.5 hours for each lobby visit, and you will get trained. That's literally what I did. I just did right before I hop on this call. Basically, the training, I will give folks like the best practice on how to do lobby work, and also like, you know, trying to chip away some of the worriness folks know. They're like, oh my God, lobbying, like what am I doing and stuff. But I want to like give folks the support on that. So if you're interested in helping us, you will get in that training, and then you get to pick the field of your interest. And then whenever our organizing team schedule a lobby visit, then they will reach out to you and say, hey, we have that bill that you say you're interested in, and we're going to be meeting with, and so remember, next Wednesday, are you available? And if you are available, then your commitment at that point would be 1.5 hours. If you're not available, it's absolutely fine. But with the idea that we want additional folks to join in the work, fresh phase, and also allow the constituent the opportunity to meet with their elected official as well. I also want to mention is that this work that we came into doing this work is to empower folks and encourage folks to take action to meet with the elected official, because half of the time people just like, oh, I don't want to meet, I'm not sure, and all this stuff. It's like, this is why we're here, to build that moment, to build that awareness, to build that support, to encourage folks to take action on those. So anybody who are interested in doing that work, join our lobby team. Remember, it's very little commitment. It's only 1.5 hours, only when you are available. Feel free to send us an email or text me. One thing that I am super proud in myself is accessibility. I will only gonna answer any text messages, email, and anything that people send it to me, because I'm here to try to create moment to support folks.
Okay, so John Wee, can you please drop that text into the chat so that people have it? And then there was a request as to if you would be able to just publicly share the spreadsheet that you went over so that people could see the list of bills.
Yes, also as well. So before I hop up, here's some great photo for y'all to look at. This is the funding, amazing team. I mean, like all of the good work that we do. So we're meeting like, so Dr. Shirley Weber. The woman make me cry over and over. I thought my heart is so numb from criminal justice stuff, but there we were, 4 warriors, social justice warrior, were bawling, crying. We met with Ryan Menshine, Chief of Staff. This is Amy Allen in Sacramento. I joined a divisible team on the lobby team, and Amy is amazing, amazing. She is policy person for Senator Atkin. I cannot express how much support she's really giving to us. This is some Republican guy, but we take photo anyway. There. So yeah, it was really awkward. Like, okay. We took the bus all the way to Sacramento, the lobby, and we're all smiling in here, but that bus does not have bathroom. We have to stop every 2 hours. That's how committed we were. And the AC did not work in the back, and like only Muslim women were like in cover. It was so hot. I was just like, oh my God, we did it. And the most amazing thing, if we ever reopen, well, we are reopened, but travel to Sacramento, because you get to march to the state capitol, holding outside, and then like having that moment, talking to our elected official about our bills, the thing that we cared about. And this bear, everyone loved taking photos of bear. I swear to God, if I go there, I'm probably gonna bring hand sanitizer and clean the bear. It's like COVID. Lorena was running out the door, tried to go to the floor to introduce a bill. She's like, oh my God, my people are here. Let's pause photo. So it's such a hot day. And we built a giant wall. And Dr. Shirley Weber came out and spoke. And it was amazing. It was so hot. And then like one thing I walked away from this was like, how do we start wearing different color than black because it's really hot? This was the infamous meeting that I told you guys about, the AB 1076, when Lorena literally told that water, like, make this bill cheaper, make this bill cheaper. And then you imagine all of it was sitting in there, and we were like, oh, we prepping now what we're gonna talk about. Stella, you were in there too. I don't like remember it now. This is Todd Gloria meeting with Layla and her twin and I, and this my sister and Conrad. So that concludes the presentation today. I want to express my gratitude to y'all for allowing the moment and hearing our work and your support. Thank you so much.
Thank
So,
you so
Sean,
much.
I was just going to say, so now that we have, endorsed your list, you can add the Democratic Women's Club to the list of the days that you blast everybody's groups to, when there's a bill. Like the day
Absolutely.
that you say to every single group, we need you, we need you, we need you. So you need to add
Let
the
us know.
Democratic Women's Club.
Absolutely, with honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all the work that you do.
You guys have a good night. Continue
All right.
your meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's see here. All right, so now we go into officer reports. I guess I'll start this time just because I have kind of sad news. There's been some good things that have happened. So the sad news is Jen French has decided to resign from the position of chair for communications, director of communications. And fortunately, though, she's still staying engaged and will still, she was active even now in helping to shape what we're doing with this support of these bills. So I'm really glad for that. And let's see here. All right, so now I have, based on the new bylaws, I can appoint someone, but this body has to approve it, and I can accept nominations from the floor in order to complete the current term. And so the person that I would like to appoint is Miss Nadia Keene Ayub. And the reason I selected her is that even before we had a vacancy, she had expressed an interest in supporting the club and helping us with some of our social media stuff and doing whatever she can to be of assistance. And when the vacancy occurred, I spoke with her and she was very excited and willing to step forward and help us with this very, very important task. And well, it's important work because there's always things to communicate. And I think there are a lot of things for us to communicate between meetings. So yes, yay, Team Justice. So for me, I guess first, Nadia, would you like to say a few words so people know who you are, just in case there's anyone on the planet who does not?
Hi, everyone. My name is Nadia Keene Ayub, she, her, hers. And thank you for this incredible honor for being nominated. Just being nominated is incredible. Just a little bit about myself. I am the regional director for Pantsuit Nation for San Diego, which means that we put out and work with the Women's March. We helped in 2019. I'm also the board secretary and regional director for South Bay for PFLAG San Diego County, which I'm really proud of because it's where I started my roots in activism recently, and I get to help parents work through their process of becoming allies and activists and best to support their children. I sit on the board for South Bay Alliance, and we are currently coordinating South Bay Pride. And one of my biggest processes through South Bay Alliance is uplifting my community, which means that we're going to start equity-based action within the South Bay, including a farmer's market. So everything I do is for my community. I am also a member of MANA, which is the Latinx-based group for women in San Diego. So as you can see, I just like to be everywhere. I don't know if that's made me a pest yet, or if that actually just makes me fully involved, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadia. That's why I said if you don't already know who she is. So before we go any further, I have to ask if there are any nominations from the floor. Okay, hearing none, I humbly ask for your support for a vote to approve the appointment of Nadia Keene Ayub to be our Director of Communications. Please, if there are any questions for Nadia or any discussion? I guess I should give you all the opportunity to do that. Okay, seeing no question. Oh, I see a hand. Oh, no, the hand's gone. Oh, the hand's back.
Just a quick questions about, and out of left field, integrating some of the younger activists with older activists. I see some of the clubs tend to be a little more concentrated on one or the other, and particularly if you're in different areas, and just more of a comment than a question, I guess.
Okay, I appreciate the comment, and I will say to you that there is some intentionality here. All right, so any other questions before we go on? So based on that, I asked, oh, Susan. Yes.
Oh, I'd like to, Nadia, did you tell us exactly what your experience and expertise is with communications and social media?
I did not, but I am happy to share that. As a member of Pantsuit Nation, which we had our own region about 3 years ago, we grew from a group of about 30 to over 1,000. So now we have 1,200 members in the county of San Diego. With PFLAG San Diego County, I was able to spread our media presence from just Facebook, where we had about 800, to now we have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we have over 2,000 followers. And I am doing the same with South Bay Alliance at the moment. I'm starting small, but I like to build. And also I'm consistently on the internet.
Thank you, that sounds wonderful.
Thank you.
So I have a question too, just a real quick question. So Nadia, do you have, I think part of our communications director's job is to kind of send out a newsletter once a month. Have you done something like that as well?
Yes, I actually forgot to mention that I'm the president of the East Lake Bonita Democrat Club. And we do our newsletter through MailChimp to our 565 mail members, so.
Awesome.
All right.
I vote yes.
Yeah, I see another hand somewhere. Let's see, let me go to gallery view. Susan, is your hand up because you never took it down? Okay, all right, perfect. So with that, I'd like to ask all in favor of appointing Nadia Keene Ayub to serve as our Director of Communications. Please raise your hand. All right. All vote who want to vote.
Nadia can vote for herself.
Yes, Nadia, you can vote for yourself. You are a voting member. All right, so looks like we are very close. We've got 16, because I think that's it for the, all right, so now if everyone could please, oh, okay, 17. All right, everyone could please lower their hands. Here, I'll help, because I could just push a button. There we go. All right, so now all opposed to this appointment, please raise your hand. All right, seeing none, what is that? A unanimous decision. Nadia, thank you. Welcome to the team. I am really looking forward to working with you. And I hope that you don't get tired of hearing from me, because I will be depending on you a great deal.
I look forward to it.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so in terms of, so that was part of my report. The other part was we voted to support Senate Bill 2, which was actually one of the bills that John Wee mentioned today. And since then, we sent a letter in support while it was still with the Senate. And then after it left the Senate and was moving to the Assembly, we actually were able to get support for and get a resolution passed through the Central Committee of the County Party in support of that bill as well, urging all of our local elected officials to support it and to support it actively. So that was good. Yeah, so looking forward to what comes next with all of us. And are there any other officers that have anything they would like to report?
Just the treasurer report, which is quick and easy. We currently have $2,658.68 in the bank. This year, our total expenditures came to $2,325. And currently, we have 172 members.
Okay. That's wonderful.
And welcome, Nadia. It'll be great.
So I do want to append my report. The Roosevelt Honors Dinner is coming up. And one of the things that had come up was instead of having one big gathering with everyone in the same place, was doing a series of house parties. And we had determined that we might be willing to host one. And if that is something that you're interested in, please send me a note. I think I will have a link for people that want to register at some time in the very, very near future. But I would encourage members to participate. We did a lot of support of other organizations in the last few months. And so we've kind of lowered our, we've kind of tapped into our reserves. So unfortunately, we're asking members to buy their own tickets unsubsidized, but we can still be together in a way. All right, carry on. Any other officer reports? All right, that was.
This is Sarah. I don't have anything to report. Oh,
Okay.
Thank you.
And that's perfectly fine. With that, move on to old business. I guess the SB2 stuff was kind of old business. Is there any other old business we need to discuss that I'm not thinking of? All right. Okay, that sounds good. Any new business we need to add? All right, and at this point, this is an opportunity for anyone who wanted to make an announcement to make one. And so I'm good. Oh, Tim.
I was at the Central Committee meeting and I just want to say, Dr. Luana, you were awesome.
Oh, I forgot about that part. Thanks.
Sorry.
Alina?
Yes, thank you. Welcome to the family, Nadia. It's nice to have more females involved in the Women Club. And thank you so much, Dr. Luana, about the brief introduction of what it feels like to be a female running for office. I do have an announcement to make. I'm not sure if you're all aware of what happened in North County with the tortillas being thrown at the predominant Latino students after they lost the game. And if you watch the video, you could see like parents and staff of that school, Coronado High School, encouraging the kids to be, racist and being very hateful towards their opponents. So we are having a press conference tomorrow, right in front of the Orange Glen High School in North County, Escondido. We would love to have the women Democrats there involved up in front, just, because we know what it feels like to be discriminated, being booed or being put down. I've put all the information in the group chat. I'm going to go ahead and click it again. go. Again.
Can I ask, what was the response from the school officially?
Yes, so the school apologized, saying they were not aware of the racist implication of their action. However, I know, right? However, we in Poway have been up front just battling the racist Republicans for not allowing us to have ethnic studies. And their argument has been that they don't want their white children to hate themselves because of what happened in history. But yet here they are saying, oh, just accept the simple apologies because we didn't know the racist implication. So that's why we are trying to push ethnic studies on every level with the critical race theory emphasis, the original ethnic studies that Dr. Shirley Weber had introduced. We're hoping to have more support during the press conference. We're having a lot of parents and students talking about their experience of, whether it's racism, xenophobia, anti-Asian, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia. This is what's happening in school. If this is what they're doing up in public, imagine what they're doing in schools. I can tell you from
I don't have to imagine, but so all these parents didn't wonder why.
Excuse me, Barrett, you're out of order. Barrett, you're out of order. There was someone speaking. Go ahead, Alina.
Yeah, I was just saying that from my experience when I went to SDSU, my world history professor, he started the class. As soon as he saw me, his tone, everything changed. He said, just looking at me, not even looking at the other students, saying that all Muslims are terrorists and not, no, he said, all terrorists are Muslims and not all Muslims are terrorists, something like that. It was the first time I heard it. And then right after hearing that, I couldn't concentrate in class the whole semester. I had a very hard time concentrating in any class because I started looking at my professors thinking they all hate me. My stomach would hurt. But I was an adult. But imagine what they're doing to children who are in these uncomfortable situations. So that's why we want to fight, for these students, making sure that they're going to school to actually learn, make something out of their lives, not going to battlegrounds every day, facing trauma. So yeah, I would love for everybody to show up and just come support the North County folks.
Okay, the next person up is Francine Maxwell.
Good evening. Thank you. I just wanted to piggyback. The NAACP San Diego branch was made aware Coronado falls in our jurisdiction, and we are talking, and we will be making a statement. We support North County. I won't be able, but we do have people that are going to drive and be at the press conference tomorrow. Just wanted to make sure people know that this particular superintendent, Moeller, he tried to bring anti-racism things and he was shot down by the Latino women that sit on the school district board of trustees for Coronado. So there's different layers. They did a second walk after they did their first walk on racism and things after the murder of George Floyd. And so some things are most definitely deliberate. What is going on in Coronado. So we're meeting with our counterpart, our president of the NAACP North County branch, so we can put together a joint statement. But we are definitely going to be looking and calling and demanding some people be held accountable and that there's some consequences. And so we really, really want some consequences, especially from the bystander, the parent that brought this bag in of tortillas, and he then gave them to the students, and we want the students that knew better because they participated, or maybe they didn't, in the walk that the school just did last week. So I just wanted to make sure that people know that it is most definitely on the radar. And just to give some exciting news, our mayor, Todd Gloria, hopefully this week will be announcing his choice for our chief race and equity. And so that will be a welcome position for San Diego. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori Saldana.
Thank you. I'm not sure if this is new business or I should have included in my report, but the city of San Diego has issued many reports on problems with their contracting when it comes to women and people of color not getting their fair share of contracts. And I was looking over some of the city agenda items for city council agenda items for tomorrow, and there was a routine item on the consent agenda to extend a contract for a couple $1 million for a company, and they just happen to have their equal opportunity report in, and they're out of compliance. They have no women working for them. It's a small company, but they're still getting a $2 million contract. And so I'm going to pull that item off the agenda and make a comment on this about what are the consequences of a company getting a contract with taxpayer money and then not being in violation of equal opportunity. And I think I would like to add that to the new business agenda, which is how do we hold the city accountable for issuing contracts to companies that are in violation of equal opportunity guidelines that the city and the state of California have in place. If we don't start talking about this, no one else will. And so I just want to encourage people, it ties in with a little bit of what was discussed earlier. If we don't have people in positions of doing this contracting with the city that are visible to show others that it can be done, we will never improve those numbers. We will always have these contractors out of compliance with our stated goals with apparently no consequence or accountability. So I'd encourage those of you who live in other cities, take a look and see how your city's councils are doing as well, because this is billions of dollars that go out to private contractors. And increasingly women and people of color are not getting their share of these contracts. Oh, somebody asked the
So
name of the.
Lori, if you don't mind preparing that for the agenda as a new business item at the next meeting, we can figure out how to discuss it and bring it further, further explore that topic.
I will do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yvonne.
All right, so I should have made a report during the officer report thing. So at the direction of the club, you've all shown interest in endorsing in the La Mesa City Council special election. So I did reach out to the county. They still don't have a filing date for that yet. So they can't, she did, the woman that I spoke with did the East County, the East County representative did give me some names of people that she thinks are going to run, but we really don't have a schedule yet. And they haven't formally filed. So we can't begin an endorsement process, but she's going to keep me in the loop. As soon as we have something concrete, then we'll bring it up in front of the club.
So can I ask that we consider doing something off cycle just because
we don't have names?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying now. I'm saying when we get names. I'm just looking at when potentially the election will take place. I suspect that when they come up with the information, we're not going to have a lot of lead time.
We're not going to have hardly any time at all. It's going to be really fast.
And so that's why I was suggesting we consider doing an off-cycle endorsement meeting for that one. Just
I mean, when I have something, I'll bring it out and we'll figure out what we're going to do with it.
Okay.
So I do have one more thing.
Okay.
So also this week on Thursday, the Public Safety and Livable Neighborhoods Committee has on their agenda to start to review and possibly take action on the proposed ordinance that will implement or further implement Measure B. There's some concerns about what that may be looking like. And the city attorney's office has not yet released the draft. We thought they were going to release it last Thursday. They did not. Then we were told Monday, they did not. Possibly tomorrow morning, they are going to release it. That will only give the 4 people on the Livable Neighborhoods Committee 2 days to look at it, as well as the public, only 2 days to look at it. So San Diegans for Justice, many of you know who that is. And, Andrea St. Julian, and I can't remember the new woman that is their co-chair. There will be a meeting tomorrow at 5 o'clock to talk about strategy on how to address this. I've posted this in the Democratic Women's Club Facebook page and the group page. So I strongly encourage every one of us to be there. This is, 75% of the voters voted for this in November. And we want to make sure that whatever that ordinance is, it reflects the will of the voters.
Awesome sauce. So Yvonne, I want to also call out you and the other people who helped support Angela DeJoseph in the Women of Color Roar. It was amazing and very, very well organized. And it was, as an event planner, I'm quite impressed with the way everything was executed and turned out. And also with the number of people who chose to be up at 7 o'clock in the morning to be on a Zoom to attend an event. And I don't think anyone was disappointed at all. So thank you for your efforts in making sure that it was successful. I know you worked really hard.
Not anywhere near as hard as Angela.
Well, of course not. Well, I don't, she's on a whole nother level. You know, Alina's talking about Jedi's.
And Tama Becker Verano. I mean, it just wouldn't have happened without the two of them.
So it was amazing. So I see Doug Case has his hand up, and Alina, an announcement is an announcement. So if you want to add one, you can. We had candidate announcements at the beginning, and we're approaching the end. So I'll start with Doug because he has his hand up, and then we'll.
We got it.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm just going to tell Yvonne that they posted it, the draft ordinance at 4:45 today, and I put in the chat a copy of it, and so if you're interested, you can take a look at that and respond. The commission, as you may know, I'm the first vice chair of the commission, is meeting tomorrow night, and we'll be responding to it. Same time, the San Diegans for Justice is having a community forum, and then the PSNLN committee will be hearing it on Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. And I would agree that they need to defer any action until there's more time for community evaluation of the draft.
Thank you so much, Doug.
All right, Alina.
Hi, everyone. Again, so I'm also running for San Diego City Council District 6. My campaign is going to be focused on 3 policies: affordable housing, job security, and environmental infrastructure. I'm hoping to gain everyone's support. I have a very long way to go. I will be the first visible Muslim running for a city council here in San Diego. And my campaign is based on equability because as someone who's lived all over San Diego, I noticed that some of the districts are pitted against each other, and therefore resources are allocated to a certain group of people. If we're going to talk about systemic racism, any form of justice, we have to look at City Council not only as a District 6, but as a whole community of San Diego. You know, we have to approach everything holistically. How can I live comfortably knowing my neighbor is sleeping hungry? This is the type of attitude a lot of City Council members have had. And I plan to change that attitude. I plan to bring that equity into play when I run for City Council. So I would love your support. If you want to get to know me better, I have social media. I also left my phone number. So please contact me. I would love to sit down and talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Doug, is that a new hand or an old hand?
I'm sorry, I forgot to lower it.
Okay, cool. So I guess I have one announcement. I'm taking off my club president hat and putting on my private citizen hat. Some of you know that I'm passionate about Afrofuturism, and I just wanted to let you know I'm pleased to announce that the 4th Afrofuturism Lounge will be taking place Labor Day weekend, September 4th and 5th at the Jackie Robinson Family YMCA on the internets and in South Africa at a satellite location. Anyone who is curious, wants to support, or just wants to help spread the word, I appreciate all assistance, and I've put the information in the chat. Anyone who wants to know what Afrofuturism is. I'll be happy to give you a link to one of the many lectures that I have done locally and on the internets. Thank you. So, anybody got anything else to say?
I have a question.
All right.
Chiu Chen. Question, where does the club stand on SB 9 and SB 10?
Can you elaborate a little bit?
What does the club support SB 9 or SB 10 and SB 10?
Can you elaborate on SB 9 and SB 10?
SB 9, I mean, probably Doc, can you, Doc probably can better explain about the SB 9 because it sponsored by Senator Atkins. Doc?
Yeah, I mentioned that in my report at the beginning of the meeting.
Yes, you did.
It's the bill that would streamline the process to have a lot split or build a duplex in a single family zone.
Okay, and then SB 10?
I don't have that one handy. I know it encourages the building of
duplex.
No, I'm sorry about SB 10. And hold on just a second, I can get more information on it, but I don't recall on the top of my head.
Well, it's definitely a land use. So I will say
It's a land use that that deals with the housing near transit corridors, but I'm
okay. You mentioned that as well. So what I will say is I can't speak to the club position because we have not asked the club what they support or not. You know, I can say as just an individual human that Senator Atkins generally gets it right. But in terms of giving a club position, I'm not in a position to do so.
Okay, thank you. Doc, just quick question. I posted a message to you. Can you reply? Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So I think, you know, we've covered everything on the agenda. The very next thing on the agenda is adjournment. Absent any objection, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much for a lovely evening.
Thank you.
And so I will now go back to my happy, happy, joy, joy playlist because I am in a happy, happy, joy, joy mood. And this song was from my mom. I got this and she insisted that I listen to it. And when it first started, I had this puzzled look on my face, like, Mom, what do you have me listening to? Then it gets better. That's just how he chooses to intro it.
Yeah, this way.
A summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, don't you know, my darling? I said it right now, and the cotton is high. Like a your land is a rich, kind of rich girl, and your mommy's good looking, yeah. I said, hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these,
I'll make it public.
Then you spread your little wings, and take to the sky. La, 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 la. That morning, come on, baby. There's nothing gonna harm you, girl. With a mommy and a daddy standing by. Yeah. permanently. I know my little darling, I love you so, and I'm never gonna let you go, love. La 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 la, 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 la la. Yeah, pretty people tell us everything, yeah, yeah. Hush, little baby, don't you cry. Hey, shut, daughter, you cry, daughter. Little darling, I said now, no, oh, John, I said it right now. Listen, baby, I don't want you to lie, daughter. Pretty people, child, don't let a tear fall from your eyes. Hey, all I'm gonna do to be you. Baby, child, I said it right now. Don't let a tear, don't let a tear, don't let a tear. Baby, child, I said, fall out from your eyes. So hush, pretty baby, little darling, do not let a tear fall from your eye. Oh!
I meant to say.
Drums, please.
Here it is, a groove slightly transformed. Just a bit of a break from the norm. Just a little something to break the monotony of all that hardcore dance that has gotten to be a little bit out of control. It's cool to dance, but what about a groove that soothes and moves romance? Give me a soft, subtle mix, and if it ain't broke, then don't try to fix it. And think of the summers of the past. Adjust the bass and let the Alpine blast. Pop in my CD and let me run a rhyme and put your car on cruise and lay back, cause it's summertime. Out and it's sort of a buzz, but back then I didn't really know what it was, but now I see what happened is the way